Good evening. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome into Yuengling Postgame live here on PowerMizzou.com. Gabe DeArmond here in Columbia. Jarod Hamilton going to join me in a little bit from Fayetteville, Arkansas. He is at Razorbacks Stadium where he witnessed an absolute, I don't know, gutting of the Arkansas Razorbacks today. 48-14. Missouri is now 10-2 on the season, headed to a New Year's Six Bowl. Jarod is in Fayetteville talking to Eli Drinkwitz and the principals in today's game. We will have him on in a little bit. But until then, I'm going to hang out with you guys. So like, comment, subscribe, questions, comments, whatever you want. Put them in the rail there. We will get to them. Alex running the show from behind the scenes will take care of your comments and getting your questions to us. So before we get to that, want to thank our friends at Yuengling all year long. They have been a part of this. They have been the reason we've been able to do a lot of what we've done, traveling all over the country. Even gave you guys some. They've got some koozies and some handouts. We're planning maybe some events. Might have an event with Yuengling in, say, Dallas or Phoenix or Atlanta. We'll see what happens here in the next few weeks. But Yuengling, look, they're the best partners we have had doing this all year long, and we certainly ask you guys to support them. I know you have been eating ridiculous amounts of food and drinking ridiculous amounts of whatever it is you drink. So the next thing you drink, just make it a Yuengling. You got a couple more days to get through the weekend. So Missouri 48-14. It wasn't that close today against Arkansas. That game was 41-0 at the end of the third quarter. Arkansas had somewhere around 80 total yards of offense at the end of three. Missouri had scored on defense. They had scored running the ball. They had scored throwing the ball. Brady Cook didn't actually even have to be that good. And they were just, they were all over Arkansas. Honestly, had they been a little bit better in the red zone, Missouri could have won this game by 60. I'm not kidding. There you go. Jason Edwards says that Theo Weiss just confirmed he is coming back for another year. So that's good news. I don't know if he did that in post-game interviews or on Twitter or what, but I appreciate the heads up. Let's see. I'm checking his Twitter timeline. It's not there, so I'm going to assume Theo told reporters maybe in Fayetteville that he is coming back. We'll get to that in a minute. Jarod, appreciate you, man, very much for the super chat. That is more than generous. Jarod has been here for pretty much every one of our shows this year, I think. Appreciate all of you guys who are regularly hanging out with us after games. We also do things Monday nights, Thursday afternoons. The schedule we'll see what it is going forward, but we will be here Monday night for sure. Beyond that, we will see. But Jarod, appreciate you being a part of this and all you guys who have hung out with us. So again, Brady Cook, he was as good as he needed to be. 12 for 20, 120 yards or 112 yards. I'm sorry, had a touchdown. That was fine. Cody Schrader, all he did was run for 200. I would tell you guys that as of this moment, Cody Schrader is the leading rusher in college football. He ran for 217 today, which gives him 1,489 yards on the season. Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State and Omarion Hampton from North Carolina have 1,414. So that is 75 yards behind Cody Schrader. They both play. North Carolina plays NC State this weekend. I'm not sure, honestly, who Oklahoma State plays. But those two players both play a game. So Cody may not finish as the nation's leading rusher. But at this very moment, he is the nation's leading rusher, which is a pretty incredible feat. Brett Norfleet, 2 touchdown catches. There you see Cody's numbers today. 27 for 217, 8 yards a carry. It gives him, again, 1,489 for the season. I believe he is 116 yards short of breaking Tyler Beatty's all-time single-season rushing record at the University of Missouri. That was 1604. Now, Devin West, technically had 1703 because he ran for 125 in a bowl game after running for 1578 in the regular season, but they didn't count bowl games for stats back then. Cody's bowl game will count. So if he runs for 116 yards in Missouri's bowl game, he is going to be the single season all-time leading rusher at Missouri. And Colton echoes what Eli Drinkwitz said after the game. He legit deserves Heisman votes, leading rusher in the country, potentially while playing in the SEC on a top 10 team. And look, I have a vote. I know who I'm going to vote for to win it, and it's not Cody, but you get 3 votes. And the third place vote, I'll think about it. He's had a hell of a year. And the story just adds to it. But, like Drinkwitz said after the game, hey, let's quit making it a feel-good story, like Mitchell says, and start talking about this kid's just really good. There's absolutely no question, that like, hey, it is a great story, and nobody should forget that. But it's more than that now. Tim Reynolds, thanks for the tip there. That was fun. Thanks for making it easy and fun to follow. Appreciate the super chat. Never asked for it, but always will take it. That was fun. And you know what, guys? That was weird. Like, I feel like that game ended 2 hours ago. I mean, I got up, I made some dinner. I kind of kept glancing at the TV to make sure I wasn't missing anything. But that game was I honestly felt like that game was over at 17-0. At 17-0, I tweeted that Eli Drinkwitz should maybe start to think about getting some of his stars out of the game, because 2 things were true. Number 1, Arkansas had no chance to win that game. No chance. And number 2, it was getting ugly there for a little bit in the second quarter. Armand Mimbo got booted. A couple of Arkansas players got booted. AU stock, it is not true that part of the Memorial Stadium renovations will be a studio for Power Mizzou's live streams. That will continue to be just here in my home office upstairs. But if we could get that pushed through, I'd drive a mile and a half to go host the show at the stadium. But anyway, mid-second quarter, 17-0. Fight broke out. Armand Mimbo swung his helmet. Cameron Johnson might have started it. The guy that knocked Cameron over might have started it. Either way, 3 ejections. It was getting a little ugly, and I just thought, I mean, here's the thing. Had Armand Mimbo gotten kicked out of that game 7 minutes later, he's not playing in the first half of a bowl game. That's your starting right tackle. And my thought was Arkansas has nothing to play for. They don't have another game. There's nothing they don't care if somebody gets kicked out of this game, So I thought maybe that's a little bit worrisome. But anyway, I tweeted at 17-0. Start looking at if you want to look at airline reservations, I would suggest Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix. And people got mad. They said I had a little blowback. Don't do this. It was not too early, guys. I watched Iowa, Nebraska today. It was the most offensive football I think I've ever seen in my life. Arkansas was maybe worse. That looked like a team that so badly wanted to be anywhere else except where it was. And I thought this was a possibility coming in. Sabra, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, but Sabra says, don't think I've thought about quitting watching a Missouri game because we were winning by so much. There were a few of them, but like they've been Murray State, Delaware State, Western Illinois. I mean, I would have to start going back through box scores to remember the last just that thorough of an ass kicking by Missouri of a Power 5 team. I mean, there was Nebraska in 2008, I think, that ended up like 52-17, something like that, up in Lincoln, where Jeremy Macklin scored on the first play of the game. I'm sure there had been some really big wins over bad Kansas teams or bad Illinois teams or bad Vanderbilt teams. Missouri beat Vandy 41-0 a couple years ago. But as far as a Power 5 football team, it has been a long time since I've seen Missouri dominate by that much. And again, like I'm not taking credit away from Missouri by saying this, but that has something to do with Arkansas. I mean, they were just coming into this game. I thought I picked Missouri by 20. I think I picked them 44-24. I said that Arkansas couldn't go to a bowl game, and they couldn't save Sam Pittman's job because theoretically that's already been saved. They're not playing one more for the guy on the way out the door. So I don't really know what Arkansas was playing for. And then Arkansas came out and clearly was playing for absolutely nothing. And then KJ Jefferson got hurt. And look, the backup, hey, tough spot. KJ's a hell of a player. Who knows how much different that game looks if he's in it. But honestly, I don't think it looks that different because I just don't think Arkansas had a whole lot of interest in being there. Joe says it's weird seeing Mizzou as an elite SEC team. No question. All right, so here's an interesting question. It's not about Missouri, but Donnie says, do you think Arkansas goes back on the Pittman comes back promise? I don't think so. Like, that's a really bad look for Hunter Yurachek if he does. But that's the kind of game that would make you think about it. I mean, first of all, you didn't show up. You got absolutely run off the field by a team that no doubt is better than you. Missouri is a better team than Arkansas. But they have 41 points in 3 quarters better. I mean, that Arkansas team played close games this year. Most of their losses all year were close. That was the team that gave up. Then they also were involved in fights and late hits on the quarterback and just things that really, and look, Missouri was involved in some of those too. I'm not saying just Arkansas, but Missouri's coach is coming back next year. We know that. So Sean says they were playing dirty all game. There was a powder keg for a bit. Yeah, there was. And look, if you watch the play that actually started the fight, I thought number 6 from Arkansas started it. And he kind of did. But Cameron Johnson was kind of on the ground with an Arkansas player. And then he got up and the Arkansas player was kind of hanging on. And Cameron kind of kicked him. And then number 6 from Arkansas flew over and took Johnson down, and then it escalated from there. So I don't know. They both were certainly involved in starting it. Cameron took offense to the late hit on Brady Cook on the play before, so that had the chance to get ugly. I think it's somewhat of a credit, at least to Pittman and Drinkwitz, that it didn't. Daniel's asking if Armand will be suspended for his ejection. He won't be, because the way it works is if you're ejected in the first half, you miss the rest of the game. If you're ejected in the second half, you miss the first half of the next game. So again, like, had he been ejected 7 minutes later, he is missing the first half of the next game, and fortunately for Missouri, that's not the case, because you would not want to go into a New Year's Six bowl game. And again, make no mistake, that is where Missouri is headed. You would not want to go into that game without your starting left tackle on a line that I really don't think we've talked about enough, guys. The offensive line, look, Cody has had an amazing year. Brady Cook's had a really good year. Luther Burden's had a really good year. But none of that happens if you don't have the time to throw the football, if you don't have the holes to run the football. KC sports fan, appreciate the super chat. Let's see, I'm trying to read it. I don't know what it says, to be quite honest. KC sports fan, I hope you're okay. I hope that you did not have any medical issues while typing that. I hope that just your hands were in the wrong place, or you're typing on a phone. I think it wants me to vote for Cody Schrader for the Heisman. I'll put him on the top 3. Maybe. I probably won't vote for him to win. That's going to be the LSU quarterback. But I will put him on there. James, I'll get to your question in a minute, but I was on talking about the offensive line. I just don't think they've got enough credit this year. And look, I'm guilty of that too. I think we spent the first half of the year going, yeah, it's better than last year, but they're committing penalties, and I don't know. They've been dominant, guys. The nation's leading rusher plays for Missouri. They averaged, I think, over 30 points a game against Power 5 competition. They've been, as Tiercell says, just physical up front, blowing holes in opposing defenses, mostly keeping Brady Cook upright. I mean, look, he has to run a little bit, but everybody does. That's part of it. This line has been, with mostly the same guys as last year, phenomenal. They're going to lose Javon Foster. They're going to lose Xavier Delgado. They're going to have to retool it. But this year, Brandon Jones has done an unbelievable job with that line. And Cameron Johnson deserves credit. Tollison deserves credit. They all do. Okay. Camwell, and don't want to make a negative comment, but in your opinion, does Kirby Moore, the O-line coach, and Blake Baker stay or go after this year? Look, they're going to have opportunities, no question. Kirby Moore is going to have opportunities, whether that's as an OC or a head coach. Blake Baker may have opportunities as a DC or a head coach. The offensive line coach could have other opportunities. I asked Drinkwitz about that on Tuesday, and I said, I'm sure that part of having a good season is that your coaches get attention, and that's a good problem to have. And he basically said, I want my guys to take jobs that make their situations better. He said, I don't want guys leaving for lateral moves. Now, would he consider like a defensive coordinator at some other program a lateral move, even if it was a program that traditionally is bigger? I don't know. But he said he doesn't want his guys leaving for lateral moves, but if they have a chance to be a head coach or to improve their stock or their position on a staff, he's all for it and wouldn't want to hold them back. So yeah, this staff is not going to come back in its entirety. But you know what? Enjoy the next month, man, because they're going to be here for a month. I don't think they're probably leaving before the bowl game. So they're 10-2. They're going to either the Fiesta Bowl, probably against a Pac-12 team, the Cotton Bowl, probably against Texas, the Peach Bowl, maybe against, Tulane, SMU, some group of 5 team. There are situations where they could play Penn State, so there's a lot out there. You never know if Florida State were to maybe, fall in one of their next couple games. Matt wants the Orange Bowl. It's tough. If you want the Orange Bowl, well, you're not going to get the Orange Bowl, because the Orange Bowl is going to get the ACC champ, and it's going to get the highest ranked Big 10 or SEC team. There's only one way Missouri gets the Orange Bowl. That is if Ohio State and Michigan both make the playoff. And there's a way it could happen. It's pretty unlikely. But if Ohio State and Michigan both make the playoff, and then Alabama loses to Auburn and Georgia, Missouri probably gets the Orange Bowl. Other than that, or if the playoff is Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan. First of all, I hope it's not. That would suck. But if it is, then in that case, yeah, Missouri goes to the Orange Bowl. Some people are big on the Cotton Bowl versus Texas. My personal, what I'd like to see, I think it'd be really cool to go to the Fiesta Bowl against the Washington-Oregon loser, because that's a new game in a new location against a new opponent. That's what I look forward to in bowl games personally. But look, you're playing in one of the 5 best bowl games in college football. It doesn't matter who you play, where it is. You're just, you've got a chance to be 11-2 and finish 5th, 6th, somewhere like that in the country. So now once Ohio State versus Mizzou, again, that it seems really unlikely. They're going to have a tough time playing an ACC team or that Big 10 team. Most likely Penn State, Texas, group of 5 team, Washington, Oregon loser. That's kind of the group you're looking at this point. Everybody has their preferences, but Missouri will go happily wherever it gets sent. Again, this is a Yuengling post-game show live, or live post-game show. Some might say that way if they speak English better than I do. AC, cracking a Yuengling. Hope all of you are doing so. Look, that's what this weekend is for, right? I just had my 3rd consecutive meal consisting of turkey and sides, and hope you guys did too. Papa Yuengling with that. Hang out with us. Jarod Hamilton will be along from the press box at Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium shortly. Probably, I'm guessing, the next 15-20 minutes, Jarod will join us. Until then, I am going to hang out with you guys, and we're going to talk about this one. It's weird. I've gotten on here after some Missouri losses, and just we get 10 or 15 minutes in and you go, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, they got beat and that was it. I don't have a lot to say about this one, guys. I mean, it was over. I firmly believe this game was over at 17-0 in the second quarter. With KJ Jefferson out, it was just so obvious that Arkansas wasn't going to be able to score enough to make that interesting. It looked for a while like Arkansas wasn't going to be able to score at all, to be honest. And Aaron Young says hog logic, blame it on the KJ injury. I will blame 41-0 after 3/4 on the KJ injury. I think Arkansas would have kept it closer than that. I don't think Arkansas was beating Missouri today, but I don't think they would have been humiliated had KJ Jefferson played. Like, I think maybe he was capable of keeping them a little closer than they stayed. But I want to talk a little bit about this Missouri defense. First of all, just some broad numbers. Arkansas had 234 total yards, but again, late third quarter, that was 65. Arkansas threw for 98 yards the entire day. That's a little over 4 yards per attempt, about 4.5 yards per attempt. They ran for 136, but it took them 41 carries to get there. So 3.3 yards a carry, 3.7 or 3.3 yards per play. I'm sorry, 3.3 yards per rush, 3.7 yards per play. So Arkansas snapped the ball 63 times, and they averaged 3.7 yards. That is a very, very good number. They had the ball for 28 minutes and 40 seconds. 5 Arkansas turnovers led to 17 Missouri points. All of them were fumbles. They even actually had a fumble they recovered themselves. So 6 fumbles, lost 5 of them. Missouri had 4 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. Incredible defensive performance. And look, I get Arkansas wasn't great, and it was a backup quarterback, but those numbers are pretty silly regardless. Individually, a week after, and I think rightfully so, getting kind of shredded, linebacker Tristan Newsom played what I would assume is the game of his life. Last week against Florida, the linebackers were a big part of the reason that the Gators were having a lot of success, especially running. And on Tuesday or Monday, we asked Eli Drinkwitz about, missing Tyron Hopper. And he said, yeah, I think it's fairly evident. And he said, not that Tristan and Chuck didn't play well, but they just haven't had to play that much. And Tristan especially had to play a lot more snaps than he has in the past. Well, Tristan Newsom today, 15 tackles, 6 solo, 2 tackles for a loss. He recovered a fumble. He was all over the place. I mean, I think he's going to probably be in the running for SEC Defensive Player of the Week. I'm not sure how he wouldn't be. Chuck Hicks, the other starting linebacker, 6 tackles, 3.5 tackles for a loss, and he forced a fumble. Realus George, 4 tackles, including a sack. He forced a fumble. Jay Jernigan scored a touchdown. I can't remember who forced that. I think it was Chuck Hicks that forced the fumble that Jay Jernigan recovered for a touchdown. I mean, just all of it. Jalen Carlisle's had a couple of huge hits in that game. Johnny Walker applied some pressure. So much so that Darius Robinson didn't have a sack for the first time in 7 games. And, hey, it didn't even matter. I mean, that defense, it has been the offense most of the season. It was the defense today. I mean, complete team victory. You win 48-14. Nobody should hang their head in shame. But that defense was absolutely all over the field today. Tristan Newsom was, I think, the leader of that. Arkansas didn't have a point until, mid fourth quarter. And by that point, honestly, it just didn't matter. I mean, Missouri was kind of trying, but not really trying by that point. And Arkansas managed to put up a couple of touchdowns, and they have a lot of tough questions to answer. Missouri has very few tough questions to answer. Missouri's toughest question to answer is, do we need pretty warm weather gear for Dallas or Atlanta, or do we need the super warm weather gear for Phoenix? That's the toughest question Missouri is going to have to answer in the next week. Again, those announcements will come out next Sunday. Colton's asking for thoughts on Brett Norfleet. Feels like the offense has plenty of blocks to build on next year. Yeah. Brett scored 12 points in 6 seconds at one point in this game. I'm sure I'm not sure. I was going to say I'm sure there have been guys that have done that before. I'm not sure there have been guys that have done that before, honestly. 12 points in 6 seconds for one player. He had a 16-yard touchdown catch. And then there was a fumble on the kickoff. Marvin Burks recovered it. And the very next play was an 11-yard touchdown pass to the very same Brett Norfleet. It was the first one with 11:38 left in the third quarter, second one with 11:32 left in the third quarter. And those were the ones that really put this game out of reach. It made it 34-0 Missouri. And I mean, it was completely over. It was 20-0 at halftime. It was over there, but it was 34-0. It was completely over. And Norfleet looks like a guy, and T. Rise is pointing out his blocking. I know other people have praised that. Again, I'm not going to lie. When I watch a game, I'm not sitting watching an individual blocker. So I will trust you that Norfleet has blocked really well. I know that Drinkwitz really likes him. He's a true freshman, and he looks like he is going to be a guy, right? And this team has a lot of guys. Colton's talking about some of them. Yeah, you've got Tristan Newsom, and you've got Marquise Johnson. And, hey, Josh Manning got on the field this year, but didn't even necessarily get a long look. Defensively, we think Christian Williams is coming back. People are saying that on an Instagram Live that Theo Weiss said he's coming back. Those things can change. Yeah, there's Kurt's comment saying that a lot of people are saying Theo's said he's coming back on Burden's Instagram Live. So that's a good sign. And it is certainly possible that Theo comes back. I know that's been hoped. Missouri was trying to do some things to make that happen. There was some question whether that would happen, and there still is, simply because saying he's coming back on an Instagram Live is not necessarily obviously a binding contract, but it is a good sign if he's saying it. I have seen some things said on IG Live that, haven't necessarily always been true or come to fruition, but good sign that he said he's coming back. So you've got the foundation now for a program going forward, right? Like, not just this. The hope is this isn't just this year. I mean, Brady Cook's coming back next year. Armand Mimbo's coming back. Cameron Johnson's coming back. Again, like I said, we think Christian Williams is coming back. Johnny Walker's back. So there are a lot of guys. You think anyone is going to be leaving before the bowl game? I would not think anyone that plays. Now, there could be some portal entries of guys who don't really play. And Drinkwitz said, and they mentioned on the broadcast today, that he has told the team, anybody who is planning to transfer, they can enter the portal and they are welcome to play the bowl game with this team. And again, I don't think that'll be guys that play. I think that would be more like reserves that are going to go find somewhere else. But I think it's kind of a cool move of Drinkwitz, because he's saying, hey, you're part of this team and you're part of the reason we've gotten here. So we're happy to take you on the trip, even if you're not going to be here next year. Now, we'll see if that happens. I don't know. It might be kind of weird, and some kids might just want to get the start and go elsewhere. But kind of a cool thing. Now, anyone leaving before the bowl game? Look, I think it's certainly possible that some guys are not going to play the bowl game. We see that happen a lot, right? I mean, Ennis Rakestraw missed the game due to injury today. Is he back for the bowl game? Is he going to go through the next 4 weeks? I don't really know. Tyron Hopper missed 2 straight games with an injury. Is he going to come back and try to play a bowl game, or will he just kind of move on and prep for the pros? There might be some other guys, right? I wouldn't want to just randomly pick anybody and say this guy could opt out, but there are some players with NFL futures who could opt out, and we see it happen. A lot of people talking about Sam Horn. We'll see. I mean, look, if you're not the starter quarterback and you're not going to be the starter quarterback next year, obviously it's possible that he would transfer. I think you're kind of whistling past the graveyard if you don't at least acknowledge that possibility. But we'll see. I see T-Rise saying, will there be fewer opt-outs because of the New Year's Six? You would think so, right? But it still happens. I mean, it happened some last year. It's not the playoff. It's not a national title game. I think that you could still see some guys, choose not to play in that game, which is obviously they're right. The big thing is getting there. Yes, you'd love to win it. You'd love to be a top 10 team. 11 wins is better than 10. all that, not minimizing any of that. But the fact that they've gotten there is bigger than whether they win or lose it, I think. And as Eric says, trying to predict what teenagers are going to do next month is a fool's errand. I don't know what most of these teenagers are going to do tomorrow, right? So, again, we are half hour in here. We're going to hang out for a little while until Jarod Hamilton makes his way back up to the press box. And people are asking to see my hands. There you go. Just there you go. There we're both up. Yeah, we're getting to the part of the show where you guys have had a couple Yuenglings and you're getting tired of listening to me. So hopefully Jarod gets here pretty soon and we can talk to him about what happened and what they said post game. I imagine they said they were all very happy and very pleased with the way they played and very pleased with the way this season has gone. Because I think everybody is very pleased with the way this season had gone. I mean, people asked me back in August, like, what's the ceiling for this team? And I said the realistic ceiling was 9-3 because I had Georgia as a loss, I had LSU as a loss, and then I said they're going to lose another one somewhere, right? They're going to lose another one because you're not just going to go win every 50-50 game or every swing game. Well, I was wrong. They did. And I think one of the very first, Jerry Garcia wants to know how much of the 10-2 season will be reflected in recruiting. Some, but it's really more about next year in recruiting because, like, most of these kids have already committed. This class is, I think we have a number 39 right now. So, like, can it rise a little bit? But it's a lot of 4 and 5 stars that are already committed. Like, there's not a lot of guys that can drastically change that ranking who are still out there. So the season reflected in recruiting is much more about probably the class of 2024 and also the transfer portal, which we put up a chamber this morning that talked about some of the guys they're still after, some of the transfer positions they will target. We didn't have specific names there yet because the portal does not open until a week from Monday. So, we don't want to throw out, hey, whether this guy's transferring or not until he's actually in the portal. See backstage that Jarod Hamilton is back up in the press box. We're going to go ahead and bring him in and keep him for a few minutes and then let him get to work up in the press box. Jarod, can you hear me all right?
We're all good. Can you hear me?
Okay, cool. We got Jarod. So,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. You're good. I don't know whether Jarod can hear me. So I'm going to remove him from the stage briefly. And then Jarod, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, and then I'll bring you back in. Because that'd be great if we could talk. Okay, he can hear me. Perfect. This is live interneting, guys. This is how we do it. So Jarod, I'm going to guess that everybody was relatively happy and upbeat after that one.
Yeah, so we only got Drink, Schrader, and Chuck Hicks. But, I mean, yeah, they were in a happy mood, 10-2 for the first time since 2014. Drink came in with a cigar. He walked right past me with a cigar, so I already knew what this meant. His press conference was only about 8 minutes. So it wasn't really that long, but he was just – most of it was just like – shout out to the guys who stuck around and, they could have left. He talked about Luther could have left in the portal. He had plenty of options if he wanted to. Upperclassmen could have left and they had plenty of options. They didn't leave. Missouri coaches could have left and they stuck around, and now they're 10. They're 10-2. So when I asked him, like, how's it feel to be part of it, that he says it's more so for him.
All right, so there was a minute there where I thought we were just going to have a boxing match, and a lot of dudes were going to get kicked out of the game. That was interesting.
Yeah. So I also asked Drink about, like, I mean, how do you see it? Do you see it as, your guys standing up for themselves, or do you see it more as of, like, I didn't say this, but kind of like Bush League or whatever? And he said he was disappointed that Armand got ejected, but he basically leaned towards, like, well, he said, we came to play football. They came here to fight. That's the first thing he said. But then he said he was disappointed, and he kind of was just like, I mean, we're all about that action on the field, basically. So that's what it was. I asked Chuck and Cody about it. They said it was cool to see Armand stand up, for Brady like that. Like, sure, he got ejected, and it also helps that they were up 10-0 anyway when he got ejected, and they were about to score. And they're probably going to win this game by a blowout no matter what, to be honest. But that kind of still helps that, their quarterback went down. They didn't take it lightly. Then the offensive line, Cameron Johnson, on that play where the fight actually happens, he gets hit down, and Armand was over there on go, as we like to say. So they were cool with it. They didn't seem like it was a big deal.
So at what point in that game did you go, okay, this game's over?
I'm trying to think. What was before KJ Jefferson got hurt, I was already thinking that, and that was with 8:59 left in the first quarter. So
right, it was 7-0 at that point.
Oh, well, there was enough to see, because you could tell on Missouri's first drive, my thought was it's nothing that Arkansas is doing, to be honest with you. There's nothing Arkansas is doing for that drive. They didn't run the ball at all. That was the first thing I wrote in my first quarter quick thoughts. You've got the SEC's leading rusher. He doesn't get a touch. Brady Cook doesn't even run the ball. That doesn't really add up. The next drive, they shove it down their throat. Schrader has 5 for 45 and a touchdown on that drive. Cook has a couple of runs on 3rd and 4th down, and it got rolling from there. So that's when I said it. Then when Jefferson not only got hurt, but he fumbled, I was just like, oh, it was already over. It was early. It was over last week probably, and then it was over again when they said Rocket Sanders and I think it's Dubanon were hurt. Yeah, and then it was over again. It just kept being over, Gabe.
That's why when KJ got hurt, you knew it was over. But like I called it at 17-0. I said there's 0 chance. Like,
oh, you're so generous. 17.
You can start looking at plane tickets. Yeah,
absolutely.
So just curious. I know you're going to write about the bowl situation. Did anybody say like did they care where they go at all?
No. So yeah, after I get off of this with you, just got a couple quotes I put in there, but all of them basically said, nah, we're kind of happy to be there. I think the biggest thing for them is it's not about the bowl. It's about the fact that they're at a bowl. They're going to get that national attention that Missouri isn't used to be honest. So to be at a bowl is the thing. It's not about being at the Fiesta, Cotton, Peach, whatever. I think Drake said when I asked him that, he shook his head no while he was smiling. He was just like, hey, man, we're there. So as long as we're there, we're gonna play. So that was kind of the gist of that.
Just a heads up, I doubt. I mean, this isn't anything official, but people are telling us here that I guess Burden did an IG live, and Theo Wee said he's coming back for next year. So that would be noteworthy if that ends up being true. Like I said, Instagram Live is hardly binding and official, but that would be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's not one aspect of this game. Not even one that I can say Arkansas did well in, let alone one. I can't think of anything. Even in the fight, they lost 2 people.
Yeah, and Missouri only lost 1. I thought they played pretty well once Missouri quit trying. I thought they did well.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count, Gabe. Okay. Even Drink mentioned his opening thoughts was kind of like he started with Blake Baker, shouted out the defense, talked about the takeaways, and he said something along the lines like the stats that Arkansas has is because of basically garbage time. Coaches aren't going to say that. They don't call it that, but they piled up stats in garbage time. It was over in the 3rd quarter. If you look at my 3rd quarter quick thoughts, with 10 minutes left after Norfleet got his 2nd touchdown, I just wrote a message at the end and said, basically, all right, guys, I'm done writing these thoughts. I'm going to start working on real stuff, and I'll just update the score at the bottom.
I said seriously when Norfleet scored the touchdown that was 34-0. Like I got up and started making dinner and stuff, and just kind of kept glancing back at the TV to make sure nothing crazy had happened.
Yeah, I if you ask me anything about the game after his 2nd touchdown, my mind's gonna go blank. I wasn't looking up very much. I'm not gonna lie.
So it does not matter. 100%. You ever? I don't know if I've seen a Missouri beat a Power 5 team that bad. I mean, Arkansas from the jump just looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. And I'm not trying to take Missouri played well, but like I don't even think Missouri had to play well today because Arkansas chose not to show up.
Yeah, that was one of the thoughts I had. I forgot what quarter it was, but basically I was just like, we know Missouri's defense is great. Like we've got the gist of that. I can't tell how much of it is them and how much of it is like Arkansas. Again, that's not a slight towards Missouri, but when they're, it was just so easy to get takeaways. This is their first game since I think I wrote December 19th, 2020 against Mississippi State, and a 52-31 loss that they've forced 4 takeaways or more. So they were all over, and all of those were fumbles. I believe they had 5 takeaways. I actually want to say with that late fumble at the end.
Yeah, they did.
5 takeaways, all of them fumbles. I mean, it's one thing when you get an interception, because I feel like when you get an interception, it's like that's a mind thing. When it's just a fumble, usually you're just out physicaling guys, and that's what it was all 60 minutes.
All right, so one more, and then we'll let you go. Cody Schrader's going to get the attention again because that's what this is now. To me, the player on offense that out of this game you're encouraged about is Brett Norfleet, and the player on defense is Tristan Newsom. 15 tackles, forced fumble. Like, that kid played a game a week after really having some trouble.
Oh, yeah, that was something they were drinking, harp on it too much, but he basically said, like, stepped up, and they needed to. I asked Chuck Hicks, I said, basically you two didn't play a good game last week, but y'all stepped up today. I mean, Chuck had 6 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, a forced fumble of his own, and then you said what, 15 tackles?
Yeah, 15 for Newsom.
And he had 2 recoveries or something? He had a lot of something to do with fumbles. I can't remember.
Yeah, I know. It's the defensive scoring on here. I think he recovered 1. I don't know. It's hard to tell based on just the stats I've got here. Missouri fumble recoveries. Yeah, Newsom had 2. So yeah.
Okay, exactly. So I mean, in a game pre-game when I got to the stadium, first thing I saw was Tyron Hopper and he had the joggers on. I was like, I mean, I didn't think, to me, just knowing what we know about Arkansas and the team, that wasn't what was going to like dissuade me or nothing from thinking they'd win. But it was something you're just kind of like, this could be something they take away. That may be an issue because it was last week. But obviously with no running backs and then no KJ Jefferson, the Arkansas's offense looks like the Steelers, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. I watched Nebraska, Iowa leading into this, and the offensive football at least got halfway better. At least Missouri could do something. So, Jarod, appreciate it, man. We'll let you go. I know you got a lot to write from down there, so thanks for hopping on, and good luck, man.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
All right, that is Jarod Hamilton from the press box at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. Wanted to make sure that we got his take, had him jump on with you guys. Again, I know he's going to do a story kind of on the bowl picture and what they're looking at and what they said about that. He'll obviously have his full game notebook. I'll have some thoughts later on the message board, all that. But yeah, guys, just Missouri just made Arkansas look like, I don't know, I was going to say South Dakota, but like South Dakota looked better than that against Missouri. Missouri made Arkansas look like an FBS. No, an FCS. No. Whatever's below FCS, they look like that. Like however Cody Schrader ran at Truman against guys, that's what it looked like was happening today on both sides of the football. Missouri 10-2. It's the best season, look, at least in 9 years. We can debate, is it the best one in 9? Is it the best one in 10? Is it the best one ever? I don't know. It's a 10-win season. They're going to a New Year's Six Bowl. I think even the most pessimistic light at the end of the tunnel is a train. Oh, my God, everything sucks, Missouri fan. Can't see them falling out of the New Year's Six at this point. Like, there's nothing that can happen. Ole Miss struggled last night. Penn State is currently 6-0 on Michigan State. Those teams aren't passing Missouri. So, yeah, cool. What if Louisville goes and wins the ACC? Fine. What if Iowa goes and wins the Big Ten? They're not. Fine. What if Arizona wins the Pac-12? Fine. Missouri still would be probably, and if all 3 of those things happen, it might be a little trouble. But point is, they're in. Arkansas, I don't know. We'll see. I imagine most people here hoping Sam Pittman comes back for another year, because that did not look like a team inspired to play for their coach, despite the narrative being driven from the broadcast crew today, which, by the way, I didn't have a huge problem with. I didn't think they were bad. I know some people did. And you are entitled to that opinion. It was just that one particular point I didn't think really showed up on the football field. So appreciate all you guys. We had over 400 people hanging out here the night after Thanksgiving. I know you guys got a lot of stuff to do. Probably got families in town. Hey, honestly, maybe that's why you were here. Maybe you like me and Jarod better than you like your family. Don't tell them, but I appreciate it. Yuengling appreciates it. Steph went to Thanksgiving with some family. They're casual Mizzou fans. They were all on the game today, and they've already checked out. They've already checked out on basketball. Well, hey, you said they were casual. I mean, we are 6 games in. Plenty of time to quit. But no, appreciate all you guys hanging out with us here. We'll be back live on Monday night. I know that. We'll see what the schedule is going to look like between now and then. Jarod will have great coverage from Fayetteville tonight. I trust he is going to come back relatively early in the morning. He's got to beat the weather. I've got a family thing to do in the morning, so snap counts are going to be a little bit delayed. Everything's being adjusted because of the holiday and because of ice and snow potentially heading our way. But we will have all that tomorrow. Drew King is going to be at Mizzou Arena at 11 a.m. tomorrow covering basketball. As some people have pointed out, you guys are all better at pointing this out than I am. I remind you to drink Yuengling. The subscribers remind you to hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe. Hit up Jarod on social media. Follow his coverage. Thank him. Alex Steinman behind the scenes all year long, producing with the graphics and the comments. And he's hopefully going to be hanging out with us on like December 30th or something like that. We'll see when Missouri plays, where Missouri plays. That announcement a little bit over a week away, but all kinds of good stuff coming your way. Thanks, guys. Talk to you next time.